All right. Good afternoon. This is Coach Byrd, and thank you for being here for the free production call we do every single week, Tuesday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. So thank you for being here. Let me do a little housekeeping and close my screens here, and let's get ready to rumble. So, welcome. Thank you for being here. And every week we're going to be bringing you production only coaching. Things that are going to move the needle in your real estate business today. You'll see on the board behind me, I've got the plan for the day, and we're going to teach you how to build and scale your real estate business. It's probably one of the most common questions we get is how do we scale and build a real estate business through the various steps of assistance and leverage and different pieces. But before I get started, I want to let you just understand that thank you for being here. I'm Coach Randy Byrd. I'm up here in Corvallis, Oregon, and I am part of eXp Realty. And we do free coaching every single week for everybody. It's broker agnostic, so you can invite anybody you want. And it's all about you and your production, nothing to do with companies and attraction and all the different things. So, with that said, it's a free call, but nothing in life is free, right? My only request is that you invite people to this call. Let's grow this. We had over 22 members on last week. And so let's let this build. Let this be something where you're pouring into other agents, and we're going to work at providing a lot of value for you as we progress through this coaching production element. The way I'm going to structure the calls, they're 30 minutes. And again, they're free. We'll have some other communities that are free as well to be part of for the past recordings, the YouTubes, all the things that we do. And it's just that. It's meant to be a service of giving back and nothing more. But like I said, tell others, let's get people in here and let's help impact other people. Um, when we look at real estate specifically, and I'm going to move my camera up a little bit. By the way, structurally, we'll have probably 15, 20 minutes of training, and then we'll have Q&A at the end. If there's no questions, we'll end it. And if you have questions, I'll stay here as long as I can to answer those questions and support you. But as we move up, you'll notice that I've got my whiteboard up here like a boss. Let's get it so I don't look like Where's Elmo a little bit. There you go. So what we're going to be doing today, and it's a little bit of an angle, but you should be able to understand and figure that out pretty easily. But we're going to talk about what it is structuring your real estate business. And as you look at from an agent perspective, when you start real estate, it's very common to have it where you're everything, right? You're the CEO, business card says so. You're the president, you're the bottle washer, you're the cook, you're the accountant, you're the bookkeeper, you're everything. And that's necessary in the beginning of your real estate journey. And what I'm going to be talking about today is the line. The line that you see on my board here is a point in your business where you want to focus on everything above the line and you want to leverage the things below the line. And I like this illustration very much. The GOAT, the greatest of all team, Gene Frederick, showed me this on a napkin one day, and I was like, that's brilliant. I had that in my mind, but this allowed me to break it down and understand it in more of a visual sense. So when we look at that, we're going to look at the first box of you as an agent. What's the most important thing that you do on a daily basis without exception, should be calendared, should not be messed with, should not be displaced, regardless of come list me calls, come what I'm in town, whatever it may be. We want to really focus on that first thing in your business being lead generation. That's got to be the foundational big rock in your business. You've heard the story where you take a 5 gallon bucket, you have to fill it with rocks and smaller rocks, and then gravel, and then sand, then water. And if you start with anything but the big rocks won't fit in it. That's the same thing for your real estate business. And from 22 years in the real estate business now and coaching literally 10,000, 20,000 hours in real estate production, specifically with Tom Ferry for years and now on my own. This is the one thing that top producers have carved out in their calendar. And it's the one thing missing from the agents that have instability in their business. Right? It's just that clear. If I talk to somebody that's doing, let's say they have a decently, um, you know, real estate business, 6 to 10 deals a year, it's typically reactionary. They don't have purposeful prospecting, purposeful lead generation in their business. They're taking what's coming along. They've done a good job. Created some referrals and some other components of this. but it's really, really important to have forward-facing, outgoing prospecting into your business, lead generation. Um, when I talk to these agents, they're struggling to get 1 hour a day of lead generation in their calendar. And then I have two clients that do 1,000 transactions a year, one in Utah, and one in Calgary, Canada. And both of them, when I asked them the question, they go, "Oh yeah, I lead generate 3 hours a day without exception, 5 days a week." Right. So that's the staple of their business is lead generation. So let that be informational to you and your business if you're looking at what your production is versus what the top producers and the highest producers are doing. Right. So with that, we're going to end on the lead generation component. I'm happy to answer questions at the end, but when we look at this, lead generation is that dollar producing activity that is absolutely the agent's responsibility. This can't be leveraged out to a VA. That this is your responsibility. There are ways to use automation and even VAs to give you more conversations, but again, if I was looking at your business from a coaching perspective and looking at your calendar, I would say make sure you're in a lead generation activity, primarily in your real estate business. So let's go to the next thing. Anybody have a question? What maybe the next one is, or an idea to guess what the next one is? If lead generation is one of the most important things in your business that you need to do as the agent. Anybody? You could chat it in. You could speak it up, Chris.
Yeah,
I don't.
I'm not sure what it would be, honestly.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. So I'm going to share it with you, and it is really simply, it's appointments. It's servicing sellers, servicing buyers. That's the next thing that you as an agent cannot leverage, right? It's possible to leverage it with buyers agents and listing specialists and things, but for the nature of this conversation, I'm going to talk to you about above the line activities and below the line activities. I think this will really help you in understanding where you're at in your real estate business. It doesn't matter if you're doing 4 deals or 400 deals. Truly, I could still show you where the balance of this is deeply important. So when we talk about appointments, servicing buyers and servicing sellers, appointments obviously could be in your office servicing a seller or talking about listing opportunity. It could be in the kitchen where you're having a listing opportunity conversation with a buyer or with a seller in their house and you're reviewing that. It could also be showing buyers. It could also be meeting with buyers, talking about buyer representations, buyer expectations. All these are appointments to me, but they're only two things: servicing sellers and servicing buyers. There's an argument for leases and all these things. But really, when you look at the big rocks in your real estate business, just remember lead generation, number one, which is creating appointments. So listing, servicing, buyer servicing, all things. As you grow your business, instead of servicing buyers, maybe that's what you do in the beginning of your real estate career. Maybe that's an area we leverage. Maybe that's an area we get buyer's agents or we get showing specialists. We get different things. And I'm happy to answer those questions as we progress from, again, this coaching perspective of it. But so we've got lead generation, 1 to 2 hours a day minimum. I think everybody on this call looking at you should be 2 hours a day of lead generation. And 3 hours a day is what your top performers are doing. It doesn't go the other way. You think somebody doing 500 to 1,000 transactions a year, they've moved away from lead generation, is actually the other way around, right? That's the lifeblood of keeping that team rolling. Okay, the very next thing is negotiating contracts. Seems simple, but this is an agent responsibility, right? So you've got 2 hours of lead generation a day, preferably 9 to 11 a.m. That's the golden hour for lead generation, but it's up to you. I had in my career, I did 9 to 11, and then I did 5 to 6:30 in the evening because I missed all the people I missed during the day. I would call them in the evening, go home, have a beer, have a cocktail, sit on the patio. I lived on the golf course. I looked forward to that hour and a half of prospecting every evening. And it was my most productive time because people are home, right? But again, you can look at your business, what's important. So above this line are the agent responsibilities. Whether you're doing 4 deals, 40 deals, 400 deals, I believe this is true for all. So you have lead generation 2 hours a day. Let's just say that's 9 to 11. And then you have a window that you're servicing buyers and servicing sellers. Now, this window Could be from 1 to 4 in the afternoon, like it is with most top producers. They keep all their morning activity to prospecting and team meetings, and then they go out of the office after lunch and they service buyers and sellers all afternoon. One of my buddies, Josh Barker, does 770 transactions a year. This is his schedule exactly: 1 to 4 meeting with buyers and sellers, 1 hour appointments. He can meet with 3 sellers a day, right? He doesn't handle buyers anymore. He's got a department for that. But very, very high level real estate brokers and teams are following this model. Negotiating contracts. You may have junior people on your team. You may have other people in your sphere of your team building and your partnerships and different things. But this is the primary requirement of a top producer is negotiating contracts, right? Even if you have a buyer's agent team that's helping you showings and listings, negotiating the contract should be your experience and should be your skill set that's doing the best job with that, right? So now what I want you to think about as we progress and we start moving below the line is what is going on with our sellers and our buyers, our clients, when we're talking to them about how we run our business, right? I could say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller or buyer, between 9 and 11, I'm unavailable every day because I am calling for buyers and sellers for you. I'm prospecting in my business every single day from 9 to 11. I will not be available. And then from 11 to noon, I'm meeting with my team. I'm going over systems and processes, reviewing files for current escrows. We're doing all those things, right? So I'm available from 12 to potentially 5 p.m. if you need me. So I'm setting that expectation. But what's also happening is with my clients, I'm letting them know that I'm following a schedule like a professional. And then now I'm introducing my team below the line, which is really, really important. I'm doing the lead generation. I'm moving to appointments with buyers and sellers. I'm servicing listings and servicing buyers. I'm doing all that work, and all that front end communication is done by them. I might have a licensed or a non-licensed assistant that is communicating with my people, but these are my jobs. This is my role all the way through negotiating contracts. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I am going to be available to you all the way through negotiating the contract. And as soon as we get that contract ratified, I'm going to push it to my team. And you probably won't see any more of me if my team is functioning operationally. I'm available for you, but they're going to do a great job, and I'm going to walk you through that, right? So now that we've got to this point to where we get transactionally into a ratified contract, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to focus on inspections, right? The inspections are a key part of this transitional agreement with the buyers or sellers. Whether you're on the seller or buyer side, you want somebody to manage inspections. Now, that could be a live person that goes to every one of your inspections. It could be relationships with your vendors, but I'm not going to inspections because it's below the line. And I'm not trying to single out anybody, but raise your hand if you still go to every inspection, right? It's okay. It's not a bad thing. I'm just telling you, you can't scale a real estate business if you are focused on doing this. Now, when you have a smaller number of transactions annually, you want to provide the best service, maybe even save money. I get it, right? But I'd rather pay somebody $50 an hour to go sit at my inspections for 2 hours, be able to answer any questions, relay them to me. So I know if they call me, it's important. They're on my inspection. That little window of time I can offer as a beloved above the line opportunity because I'm negotiating something, I'm helping move something along. But I don't need to be there for 2 to 2.5 hours for a home inspection and a roof guy to show up and all these other things. So leverage the inspections below the line if you look at this. So this is staff, right? Agent above the line, staff below the line. Now, I'm happy to break into some details of how this happens. But trust me, if you're going to get into hundreds of transactions, this process is the way that we scale teams to do it, right? So inspections could be everything from well and septic to home inspections to pre-inspections, you name it. Again, if there's an inspection negotiation, what happens? It comes back above the line and I take back over, right? But I don't need to be there. Actually, as a licensed general contractor, there's actually a train of thought that this could be damaging to myself and or my clients, me being a general contractor there, where I'm hiring inspectors to come and say things, because the client could say, hey, Randy, you're a general contractor. How come you didn't catch that? We want to hire professionals for that, right? So that's a little different for me, but I've always been in the posture that I'm going to provide you the most amazing service when we get to this point, and I'm going to introduce my team. You're going to meet Matt. Matt does all my inspections. Matt is, most agents don't show up for inspections. He's going to sit there the whole time that the inspector's there. He's going to make sure that we walk around after the inspection's done and have the inspector explain all those things to us, right? We're going to do all those things. You're going to love Matt, by the way. You see what I did? I transitioned from them expecting me to be there to them expecting Matt to be there. And if I use the language correctly, they're not wanting me there now. They're like, you've got better things to do, right? This is where you deserve to be as a business owner. But if I just say, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it to the inspection, you're going to love Phil. Phil is our home inspector and our pest guy. That is a fumble, right? So I think there's value in having somebody at the inspection that is your part of your party. But again, it can be leveraged very easy. It could be leveraged to real estate agents. It could be leveraged to assistants potentially. But having somebody there is valuable, and it is a customer service thing that I really love. Okay. Next, mortgage. Mortgage is a component. It's a third party, but it's my responsibility as an agent to make sure the mortgage is being done correctly, right? But this is where I transition it to the buyers in this particular case. I'm going to say, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, now it's your turn. You have an expectation to get all the documents to the mortgage person on time. You have an expectation to meet their deadlines. You have an expectation to meet with them. I've got a relationship with Apex Mortgage or whoever it may be that you're working with, and you can set an expectation with them to make sure they talk to them about not buying a couch, not buying a car, making sure they're not doing anything that's hurting their credit. Make sure they're getting the documents, getting in order of the things that need to happen prior to that mortgage approval, right? Again, mortgage problem, appraisal problem moves back up to the front of the line. That's where I take back over. But a good mortgage person should be communicating with you, and more importantly, letting them know the expectations that have to be done as they're doing that. The whole time, by the way, I am not in communication with the seller. I use in my own business every Friday, I call every seller and every buyer that we're in relationship with and just check in every Friday. People are happier on Fridays. You get ahead of things for the weekend, right? Very big aha for me in my business is when somebody said, why are you calling them on Mondays? They're all grumpy on Mondays. Because I used to call every Monday after the weekend and give them updates. Instead, I call them on Friday. Everybody's happy. Everybody's optimistic about what's coming up. If they go, hey, I forgot to ask you about the open house, you get ahead of things for the weekend. And I just love checking in with people on Fridays, right? So now that's part of my top line opportunity that I have to take care of is contacting my clients once a week. But beyond that, I'm pushing the system that they're not gonna hear much from me, minus me checking in on Friday. And I'm gonna say, how are things going with the inspection? Were you happy with Matt? How are things going with the lender? Are things going well? Have you got them all the documentation? Our close of escrow date is now set for January 26th. Whatever it may be that's in the file, that I'm talking to them for 5 minutes, right? And I'm again setting this expectation of what this flow looks like. And now here's one of the most important ones for me is close of escrow, right? I tell my clients this again, you can run your business how you like to. I tell my clients, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I will not be at title because you're going to meet with the title professionals. My staff is going to be at title with you just to make sure that there's nothing missing in the file, anything we can do to support you. That may be my licensed assistant. It may be another agent that I particularly have go to closings. But it's not me. I do not get served well by sitting there for an hour and a half while they sign all the documents, right? But many ask, well, I want to make sure that I'm there to help them. I pop by, but at the end of it, right? So I want to be the hero. I want to show up at the end of it, but I don't want to set the expectation I'm going to be there for an hour and a half. I have an agent that sells 80 homes a year, and she goes to every single closing and sits there for the whole hour and a half. And I said, you could sell 160 homes next year if you found a way to carve out that 80 hours back into dollar producing activity lead generation. And she just went, ah, I never thought of it that way. I thought of it that it's mandatory. It's not. There's ways to leverage everything below this line. So if I set the expectation, if I go, hey, Mark, you're getting taken care of by an amazing team that we've got here. By the way, if you're doing only 6 deals a year, you could still set this team up, right? It's relationships and small amounts of compensation. It's not sharing 50-50 commissions with people. Not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about staying in the dollar producing activity on the top of the line and leveraging everything below the line. So in this particular case, I might say, hey, Mark, I'm not going to show up at title. You're meeting with the title reps. I've got my executive assistants going to be there with the file to make sure they have any questions. We've already handled everything with the lender. The docs are there. Everybody's doing their job along the way. By the way, they're way better than I am because they have the time to take and explain everything to you with Alta and setbacks and assessments, all kinds. That's their job, right? That's not my job. My job is helping you negotiate the contract, getting the most money for it. That's their job. But now, if they sign at 11, I'm going to show up at 11:30, 11:45 on purpose, little gift, a little like pop by, right? Hey, I didn't expect to see you here. Hey, you're important to me. I'm in the area. I wanted to stop by, make sure everything's okay. Is Sue taking care of you? Is Julie at First American Title taking care of you? Yes. I'm there for 5 minutes, kissing babies, shaking hands. I leave, and they're expressing, wow, that's a great guy. I didn't even expect him to come by. He cares about us, right? Instead of the other way around where it's like, I don't go to any signings because they're not good enough or whatever the case is. You see the power of this. So now your business is leverageable where you could scale it from 6 to 12 to 25 to 50 to 100 transactions without changing anything except maybe the staff that you're using, the system you're using for transaction coordination and so on, right? By the way, there's no transaction coordination in here. This is all part of this process. A transaction coordinator is mandatory in my world. It's mandatory in a production level. Even if you're doing 4 deals a year, pay the $400, get back to that activity. Because if you're not doing 2 to 3 hours a day of that, your business is going to hit a ceiling because you're trying to do all this. Hopefully that makes sense to you, right? So now close of escrow, title, pop by me, all the systems and process, if it worked along the way, I'm communicating with them on Fridays to let them know the flow of this. And I have the dates in my file, right? My file always had a front page that had contract date, inspection, end date, release of contingency date, lending removal date, close of escrow date. It could be a moving date dialogue, but that's the conversation I want to be having with them is the high level stuff. So I can maintain this. Okay. If I get 10 buyers and I start going to all the inspections, and God forbid you get 10 escrows, that's awesome. But you got 10 mortgage people you're talking to and 10 inspections you're going to, and you're trying to go to 10 close of escrows. What happens is your business looks like this. That's your real estate business. You have no business at the bottom, right? So right here, you have no business. You prospect, you get a bunch of escrows, then you service all those escrows all the way to the bottom. They close, you get paid. That's awesome, but then you have no business again. You start doing it all again. And that's why most real estate businesses look like this, right? Because you're working because you're, oh crap, I don't have any business. So you start making calls, you start stopping by, seeing people, you start making prospecting happen, then you get business and you stop that activity to service those. I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom today, in my humble opinion, of how you can scale your real estate business just by following this simple flow system. Okay. Any questions on that? Any ahas, any takeaways, any clarification you need? Because again, this is for you and your business.
I really like it. I appreciate that. Seems like a pretty straightforward, as a new agent, well, not super new, but not doing a lot of business, it really shows me, how to put yourself above. Because yeah, it's hard to scale and to be driving everywhere and doing all that kind of stuff while you're trying to do the rest of your business. So yeah, definitely open some like a light bulb for me. Appreciate it.
Good, 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 good. And Chris, if you could be so bold, how many hours of prospecting are you doing a day? Be honest.
Well, to be honest, I kind of reinvigorated myself after the holidays here.
Okay,
So, for the, for the last 2 weeks, I've been doing about 2 hours a day,
good for you.
so my big thing is, and I'm sure this is a lot of agents is, where to get the phone numbers and how to dial and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah,
picked up Property Radar and I'm doing some mailing right now. And
yep,
then, I'll start with the phone calls,
I
here as
love it.
well. So,
So let me coach you a little bit, Chris, if you don't mind.
okay,
That's why I asked. I want to
absolutely.
give back, right? So number one, easy to find numbers. You could do a circle farm. A lot of companies, Chicago, First American, they have what's called a farm, like a geographical farm, not
Okay.
cows and pigs. But what happens is you can circle a neighborhood. Let's just say it's Riverbend neighborhoods, 500, 1,000 homes. They can get all the owner data for you. So you have phone numbers, emails, addresses, phone numbers, the whole
Mm,
thing, right? And you can get
okay.
this for about 8 cents per contact. So 1,000 people,
Gotcha.
$80, right? And then you'll have 1,000 people that you can market to and be talking to on purpose. Social media is a big opportunity for lead generation, talking about what's going on in the market, talk about, housing's up, housing's down, highlight listings. People are watching social media eyeball wise. But if you want to
Okay.
lead with prospecting, I'd call expireds are a tough call to make for a lot of agents, but those are the people that are already on the market. But I think the low hanging fruit is two things: for sale by owners really,
Okay.
really need you. You just have to perfect your language with them and come from a place of value. And unsolicited CMAs, comparative market analysis. If you went into that
Mm,
1,000 home neighborhood and had a language conversation with all the homeowners of saying, hey, I've already done a report for you. Not, do you mind if I do a free CMA? They're going to say, no, they didn't ask for it. But if you say, hey, I know you didn't ask for it, but I've already done a free CMA as on your house as part of a broader CMA in these 1,000 homes, which you can
hmm.
do in 5 minutes and then talk with integrity, right?
Right.
You're going to have a 4-to-1 benefit over that, getting that CMA in their hands.
Great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay.
I didn't realize the title give you phone numbers as well, so that's great.
Yes, they will. Yep, it's about eight
Okay,
cents
perfect.
per contact, and there's other companies that will do it as well. Everything from Mojo Dialer to Vulcan 7, but the title will do it for you for free, and that's really what they're there for. And like
Gotcha.
Active Farm is what Chicago Titles uses. It's great, and it will give you who's expected to leave, how long they've been there, the demographics of the area. There's a lot of things you can do for free. And
Awesome.
so, one thing you said, Chris, is you have sweat equity or check equity, right? Postcards are check equity. Door knocking, flyers, drops, business cards with a rubber band around the doorknob, that's all sweat equity. I would start with sweat equity until you can afford check equity. And then your business where you lose money by being in the field is what you want, right? You lose
Hmm.
money by going and door knocking. That's when you leverage it out to check equity and you start writing checks for mailers and postcards to go out every 2 weeks.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Good question. Appreciate it. Anybody else as we kind of wrap up the call today? By the way, I'm here every single week. Next week, we're talking on AI, how to put AI into your real estate business and have it actually go into your business immediately. So I'm going to give you tools and tactics with AI that you could actually use on the call and watch it work, and then take that away so you're not being overwhelmed about where to start with how to put AI into your business. Because I'm going to make a bold statement. If you don't adopt AI into your business, you're going to be working for an agent that did.
Quick question.
Yeah.
In relation to farming, it's something my wife and I have started playing around with.
Yes.
I'm in an extremely rural area of North Carolina,
Okay.
so don't have 500 home situations, 1,000 homes. Looking at 100, maybe 150 if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out how to make it actually worth my while.
So you do have a tough situation. So there's a couple checkpoints you want to have in farming that are really, real important. Number one, 500 homes minimum. I'll talk about that. But number one, 500 homes minimum. Minimum turnover 6% in those 500 homes. And then a minimum of twice a month communication. It could be a series of postcards, door knocks, flyers, phone calls, whatever, but you need to connect with them twice a month. And the last component is 18 months. So all those things need to happen to be a successful farm, in my opinion, from years and years of coaching and doing all these surveys with Tom Ferry. Now, with that said, if you're very rural, it's very different. You're becoming more of a brand awareness than you are looking for that turnover because you're not going to find it likely. So now you want to find pockets of 150 homes, and you do want to keep in that 500 number, right? Because mathematically, you need all those homes to produce enough sales every year to make this ROI have value. Okay. Now, if you have nothing to do and you're walking door to door and all that stuff, then it's trading time for money. It's okay. But if you're really looking to scale this and to make it where you become dominant in that farm, which is the ultimate goal, then you have to have that twice a month frequency, minimum 18 months now. It used to be a year, but it takes longer now for you to become top of mind with them.
Understood. Thank you.
My pleasure. All right, one more question, then we're going to wrap up for the day. We'll be back tomorrow. Anybody have anything else before we wrap?
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Gunpreet. I'm a very new agent, very
Go,
fresh.
Preet.
So I guess my question was more for like the social media aspect of it.
Yeah.
So let's say if you're starting from square one, what would you like do social media wise to like put yourself out there?
Great question. Write this down. Number one, frequency. You have to post every single day, even if you don't think it's got a lot of value, right? Maybe even 3 times a day in the beginning,
Yes.
because you don't know when they're going to see it. Number two is pick a area that you could become the expert in your area. That could be a subdivision. It could be a city. You don't want to make it so broad that like you're the realtor of Dallas. That's too big. You want to pick a subdivision, a territory, a golf course community, something that you're going to be the expert in, and then really focus on that with your social media. Interview the superintendent of schools in that area. Interview the police chief. Post the crime rate, post the housing turnover, post if anybody's doing garage sales or things for the community. Really be the source for them in a social media capacity.
Okay.
Once you accomplish that, then I would focus on a Facebook page that's geared towards that particular community, and then be purposeful about inviting everybody in the community to that Facebook page. You could do that through title, just like I just explained, right?
Okay.
And then you want to be adding value. You want to be making sure you're being a real estate agent in social media. Hey, today we're at 123 Banana Street. I'm showing you this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,700 square foot. It boards up to the open space of the McCollum River, whatever. And average sales price in this area is going for about $216 a square foot. Average time in the market running about 45 days. And if you have any real estate questions, make sure you reach out to me. Go Preet. I am the local expert, and we do updates every single week, right? So something along those lines on social media will be very valuable to your real estate career.
Okay. That sounds
Okay.
good. Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you everybody for being here. I've got another call I got to jump to, but we're here every single week. Again, it's Coach Randy Byrd. Thank you for being here. You can go to all my sites, byrdhouse.team, BYRDHOUSE.team, as well as, you can find me, Coach Randy Byrd, in any of the social medias. Thank you. Thanks, Alexandra, and everybody else that's here. Thanks for your great questions. I'll be here every week. Invite your friends, invite people from all companies. You could tell it's broker agnostic. We're not talking about companies. We're talking about tools and systems and things to increase your production. So I appreciate it. Look forward to being here again next week, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for being here. Have a great day. Bye for now.